It is time to review the new Pinnacle or Ritual, whatever we're calling it now, Scout Rifle Randy's Throwing Knife. Pretty comical name, but I think we're just gonna call it Randy. Just Randy. Similar to like Dan. These weapons, almost like they came from the same neck of the woods, right? Today though, guys, we're gonna be reviewing this Scout Rifle inside of PvP and a little bit inside of PvE, and we're gonna see if this weapon can hang in the current sandbox. Now, it's pretty interesting that Bungie made the Crucible Weapon for this season a Scout Rifle. And considering that hand cannons got their range nerfed, Scout Rifles might actually have the potential to hang. First up, to get this Scout Rifle, you want to pick up the quest Reconnaissance by Fire. This quest is located at Shacks, and it will require you to get final blow kills with a Scout Rifle, earn 2100 glory, and a percentage there in enemies defeated, as well as medals. Now, I sat up last night chatting with Kiwi Ninja. From what he told me, he said the Scout Rifle kills are around 300 kills inside of Crucible, which I'm not gonna lie, can be pretty nightmarish if you do not have a good Scout Rifle. So if you got a Jade Rabbit, especially a Jade Rabbit with a Catalyst, or preferably a Polaris Lance, or even if you just got a Mighty Multi-Tool, I would recommend those Scout Rifles for the kill portion of this quest. And as far as glory earned, I'm pretty sure it's kind of like Revoker, where you just gotta earn a set amount of glory. And I don't even know, I haven't even played comp. Pretty sure you don't even lose glory, right? Is that the way it works? Comp is super easy now. We'll be playing a bunch of comp tomorrow, so I'll be actually reviewing competitive in its current state. Now, moving on to this Scout Rifle. Intrinsically, it is a rapid fire scout. Man, that's like a white buffalo around here. When was the last time you saw a rapid fire scout rifle? Black Scorpion, for the most part, is the only other rapid fire scout I think that can roll with random rolls. Now, a couple things about rapid fire frames. Number one, they've got deeper ammo reserves, and number two, intrinsically, the weapon has faster reload when the weapon is empty. It also fires in full auto, which we'll talk about the pros and cons of that. Now, our barrel perk here is Fluted Barrel. It also comes with the magazine perk Extended Mag, which, let me tell you, so many times, especially in Crucible, where I'm just like, man, if only I had 3 more shots in this Scout Rifle. That's sarcasm, fellas. I do not understand why they threw Extended Mag on here. Now, the traits of choice, and this is why they're calling it Ritual Weapons, because it's supposed to be a perk combination that is not present on any of our other weapons. First up, we have Rapid Hits. Rapid precision hits temporarily increase stability and reload. Essentially, like we said in the past, Zen Moment and Outlaw together. It just simply requires precision hits. Now, the other trait next to it is Zen Moment, which is pretty funny. So you can actually double up with both Rapid Hit and Zen Moment and have the most stable experience in your life. Now, the obvious trait of choice that would pair perfectly well with Rapid Hits is Kill Clip. Reloading after a kill grants increased damage. Now, the trait next to it is Snapshot, which I would say, you don't need, right? Rapid Hit obviously needs to be the choice to go with something like Kill Clip, get the increase in reload speed as well as stability. What's the point of Snapshot? Turns out, Snapshot was actually kind of useful because something about Randy, he has terrible initial accuracy. And I don't know if it's like built into the weapon to have this, but that brief moment of absolute terrible accuracy on the initial shot actually makes me think that Snapshot might have a place here. But before we talk about the preferred perk combinations, let's talk about what's happening on a 260 round per minute Scout Rifle. First up, they actually have a 0.93 second time to kill. Definitely not great, but the selling factor is it's got a pretty forgiving TTK value at 3 crits into body. Now, technically, you can kill a Guardian 2 armor or less. Now, I know there's some people that rock 0 armor. I know for the most part, when I play anything outside of Titan, I don't have any resilience. The issue with this one though, and I haven't actually sat down and fully tested it, I think the damage numbers are rounded. I don't believe it's actually 47. I think it's like 46.5. And the reason why I say that, there's actually been many Guardians I know for sure that I have 4 tapped and they have not died. And I've actually gone and checked their inventory and they have low resilience. So I think the numbers are actually a little bit rounded. Could be wrong there though, guys, but if it is rounded, if it is something like 46.5, then you can only 4-tap Guardians at 0 armor, which again is kind of rare. So I would not rely on this weapon and its TTK value associated with 4 crits. Instead, I would rely on that 0.93 second TTK value to be the optimal TTK value for this weapon. Now, 0.93 seconds is actually pretty bad. I mean, or it's worse in comparison to a lot of weapons, and even worse in comparison to something like Scout Rifles. 200 round per minute scouts like Mida have a 0.9 second TTK value. High impact Scout Rifles like Polaris and and Jade Rabbit have a 0.8 second TTK value. Like the only other scout rifles that have a worse TTK value are precision scout rifles like Oxygen, but we don't talk about those because it just hurts too much. But Randy's throwing knife here with something like Kill Clip throws our crit shot damage to 63 per crit, allowing us to potentially 3-tap Guardians at 3 resilience or less. Now I'd say potentially because honestly it's just going to take 4 shots due to the fact that I think there is some rounding in the numbers. But the other side of things is this is a rapid fire scout, meaning it is quite spamtastic. So for me at least, precision is kind of the game, but to me it's secondary to you just unloading into an enemy. Now I was actually pairing this with like empowering rifts, which was pretty nice. I was throwing up my precision damage to like 56 per crit, and then with something like Kill Clip inside of empowering rifts, I was doing 75 per crit, which was a beautiful sight. That's like OG damage values for 150 round per minute scout rifles back in D1. Now that we got all of those things out the way, is Randy's throwing knife a scout rifle to be reckoned with? It's hard to say, guys. Like I don't want to just base everything on my own experience, but yesterday I asked for scout rifle maps, and then I proceeded to get all of these maps, which is kind of good and bad. I got to experience what this 260 round per minute scout rifle can do against weapons that are obviously the better choice in these smaller range maps. I would say Randy can hang, but there's really nothing special about it. I think stat wise, it could have been better considering that this is supposed to be a Pinnacle Ritual weapon. And I think perk combination wise, it's not bad, but it's not something that I think is going to revive scout rifles inside of PvP. Like as I'm using this, I'm like, this is nice, but I think I would still take a God Roll Black Scorpion inside of Crucible if I absolutely wanted to use a 260 round per minute scout. And it's got some good factors to it. It's got a range masterwork that's on it. It's got a pretty decent handling speed, and it's got a number of options there in terms of stats. And of course, something like Rapid Hit with Kill Clip is extremely nice, but there's nothing about this weapon that screams innovation, especially for our 260 round per minute scouts. There's no new perks, and on top of that, even with something like Kill Clip, you still can't 3-tap inside of Crucible. So maybe this weapon would do better if there was just an outright buff to scout rifles, specifically precision and rapid fire scouts. And despite rapid fire scout rifles being some of my favorite weapons for dueling moments, I can't help but want to use a 150 if I absolutely wanted to use a scout rifle. Again, at the end of the day, an aggressive pulse rifle or a Bygones can do everything this scout rifle can do, given the majority of our maps outside of like maybe Widow's Court. To me, guys, Randy could have had better default stats because I don't like the fact that it requires you to use something like Zen Moment or Rapid Hit to rein in the lack of stability here. Truthfully, this weapon should have had loaded stats, and Rapid Hit and Zen being a cherry on top to add even more stability. And at no point, if that was the case, if the stats here were loaded, would I have looked at this scout rifle and been like, oh, this is just overpowered. How will Mountaintop and Recluse hang now? Not only that, like I said, the funky initial accuracy on the scout rifle was something I was noticing over and over again, to the point where I started using Snapshot just so I can always be aiming down sights where I wouldn't have to really rely on the hip fire of this weapon between the moment I begin to fire and start aiming down sights. I actually went and threw a freehand grip on this weapon because I thought the hip fire accuracy was so bad, especially if I had a target like pushing me. And even then, it still wasn't that good. And I know some of you are like, why would you ever hip fire with a scout rifle? Well, if somebody's gunning you down with a Recluse, that may be your only option. And for the most part, things like Jade Rabbit and Polaris Lance actually have very good hip fire accuracy, to the point where you could sit there and back up, even if a shotgun rusher is coming at you, and at least get a few shots off into them. You're still gonna die. You're using a scout rifle, man. What do you expect? But hopefully somebody could come clean him up. Guys, this is Randy, and this is all he has to offer. Perk combination wise, it's not terrible, but there's nothing creative happening here. And again, I was looking more for like Kindle Orchid levels of creativity in terms of perks. Like the curated role for Kindle is Rampage and Kill Clip together. Now I'm not asking for Rampage and Kill Clip together, but there could have been some stuff here to have added a little more creativity. I would have loved to see this scout rifle with very good default stats, loaded out in stability, but a decent range stat to have it hang, even in those long ranges, and I would have just gave it an option to roll with both Kill Clip and Multi-Kill Clip. No, not in the same column. I'm talking about together. Can you imagine, boys? You're proccing the both of them at the same time? Would it be broken? No, it wouldn't, because we already got a lot of broken stuff. If it's not gonna be a new Pinnacle perk every season, it's gotta be a perk combination that brings some wow factor. Or better yet, just give us 3 traits. Literally put 3 rows there of perks. All I'm saying, these Pinnacle Ritual weapons weapons are not desirable. And even though previous Pinnacle weapons may not have been desirable, things like oxygen, I still got them due to the uniqueness of the perk that they came with. Randy's throwing knife, I'm in no rush to get this thing. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.